Good evening, everyone. The meeting of the Richmond City Council will now come to order. And Madam Clerk, if you would please make the necessary announcements regarding Spanish interpretation services available for tonight's meeting.
Spanish interpretation is available in the council chamber. Please see a representative at the rear of the room to receive the appropriate equipment. Spanish interpretation is also available through Microsoft Teams for virtual attendees in need of this service.
La interpretación en español está disponible en la Cámara de Consejo. Por favor, acuda al representante en la parte trasera de la Cámara para recibir el equipo adecuado. La interpretación en español también está disponible a través de Microsoft Teams para los asistentes virtuales que necesiten dichos servicios.
Thank you. At this time, the invocation will be offered by Reverend John Roers of St. Stephen's Episcopal Church, and the invocation will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here. I'm grateful for all of you and for your service. Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for your love and presence in our lives and in this place. We pray that you may warm our hearts and our toes in the cold of winter. We pray that you may open our minds when they feel stuck or closed. We pray that you may lift our spirits when we feel tired or broken. We pray that you may grant peace and patience, courage and strength to the people of this council, the leaders of this city, and to all those who call Richmond home. Bless us and guide us evermore to become the people and the community you dream us to be. Amen.
States of America, to the republic, to stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you would please provide the chamber evacuation announcement followed by the public speaker guidelines.
Upon activation of the emergency alarm signal, all persons should immediately exit the building. Please use the exits to the left or right front of the council chamber or the east or west stairwell outside the rear doors of the chamber. Do not use elevators or escalators. After exiting the building, security will direct everyone down 9th Street to the assembly area located inside the former public safety building parking lot. Able persons should assist visually and hearing impaired visitors with exiting the building. Individuals speaking during public hearings and the public comment period are generally allowed 3 minutes to speak. Persons appearing before council are not allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, use language of a personal nature which insults or demeans any person, including comments directed at public officials or staff members that are not related to their official duties, or address or question staff members directly. All questions are to be directed to the president of council. Failure to adhere to the guidelines may result in speakers forfeiting any remaining time and further disciplinary action as necessary, which could include barring from attendance at future meetings of City Council for a period of 6 months.
Madam President, for the record, all members of council are in attendance this evening. Also, applause is only permitted during the awards and presentations portion of tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there appointments or reappointments for consideration this evening?
Yes, Madam President, for consideration this evening, you all were provided with board appointment recommendations from your respective standing committees. I understand there is a motion relative to at least one of the recommendations on the slate of recommendations for appointment.
Madam President,
Councilmember Jones.
I'd like to make a motion to approve with the exception of the Richmond Redevelopment Housing Authority and the Economic Development Authority.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
To continue, I'm sorry.
And would, Madam President, would Ms. Jones like to continue these to the March 10th council meeting?
Correct.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion as stated. Mr. Breton? Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson? Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell? Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newbill.
Aye.
Those appointments, except for the appointment to the RRHA and also the EDA, have been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to the extraordinary recognition for this evening.
Tonight's recognition being presented by the Honorable Mayor Danny Avula and the honorable members of Richmond City Council is to recognize, honor, and celebrate the Honorable L. Douglas Wilder on the momentous occasion of his 95th birthday and to thank him for his enduring contributions to the city, the state, and the nation. In 1969, he became the first person of African American descent elected to the Senate of Virginia since the Reconstruction era. He went on to achieve those same historic firsts by serving as lieutenant governor and then as governor of Virginia. And in 2004, he became the first directly elected mayor of the city of Richmond in 60 years. Mr. Wilder's legacy as a trailblazer and dedicated public servant has shaped our city and the Commonwealth in profound ways and will continue to for generations to come.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I would ask the mayor and council to join me now for this recognition of one of our most phenomenal public servant leaders, Mr. L. Douglas Wilder.
Well, Governor, I feel like we've been celebrating your birthday a whole lot these last few weeks, but when you get to the stage you have, I think we'll be celebrating all year. And I just wanted to share some thoughts. I'll share a letter and there's a proclamation that the City Council will share. But I first want to just read you this letter. Dear Governor Wilder, on behalf of the City of Richmond, I am honored to recognize and celebrate your extraordinary legacy and lasting impact on our city, our Commonwealth, and our entire nation. You are quite simply a trailblazer. As the 66th governor of Virginia, the first African-American elected governor in American history, and the first popularly elected strong mayor of Richmond, you did more than break barriers. You redefined what leadership in this country could look like. At a time when many believed that certain doors were meant to be closed, you pushed them wide open. At a time when doubts persisted about what was possible for Black leadership, you proved through courage, excellence, and resolve that those doubts had no place in our democracy. Throughout your career, you have fought against complacency and insisted that we could and should do better in tackling our challenges. For instance, as mayor, you took on one of the city's most persistent problems, crime, and made lasting progress that helped lay the groundwork for this city's revival. You governed with conviction and independence, even when it was difficult or unpopular. Again and again, you reminded leaders that their real strength came in listening to the people. In doing so, you expanded our collective imagination of what public service could and should be. I am personally grateful for the time that we've been able to spend together and the tough questions that you've pushed me to wrestle with. I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've had to hear you speak and the wit and wisdom that you have shared that have inspired me to lead differently. Richmond and Virginia are stronger because of your leadership, your vision, and your willingness to walk where no one had walked before. We honor you not only for the history you made, but for the future that you helped unlock. And so in the spirit of unlocking things, Governor, I present to you a key to the city of Richmond. And I'll read the inscription here. The key to the city of Richmond, presented to Governor L. Douglas Wilder, a son of Richmond, a leader that changed our city, our state, and our nation.
I will be brief because I have my colleague who will bring forward our proclamation. Governor, would you like to comment at this point? There's more to come. Yeah.
Well, you don't tell somebody they can talk forever,
Right.
and I won't. I'm privileged to be here, and I thank my good friend Reba Trammell for not forgetting me, knowing that I'm still around. I like being in this place, and I like you people who serve the people and serve the citizens to know every time I make a speech relative to government, every time I talk to groups, whether it's in government or not, or about government, I tell them that the most important form of government is local government. That's where the rubber really meets the road. That's where the buck stops. That's where you know what's going on. That's where you can learn what's going on. And one of the things I'm seriously concerned with now is education and the quality of education, particularly for our young people. Everybody likes to celebrate the success of a Super Bowl and the nice athletes that come there. How did those athletes get there? They didn't get there from high school to college to play football. They started in elementary school. And that's why it's so important for those of you who are still pushing, and I know, Madam President, you never stop pushing, for the money from the legislature to say we don't want help, we demand help. We're more interested in what we can do to keep our young people in school, to make them really aware of what it means to know what it's like to be on top. There are those who don't even want us to talk about the past. They consider it DEI, being dead. Well, I'm here to say it ain't dead. We ain't just begun to live. And when we at our school, headed by our great dean, Susan Gooden, and she has a component up there called RISE. It's the Research Institute for Social Equity. And I made the presentation of it to Governor Youngkin. And I said, I want you to understand this, and brought the whole group of the school people down there with me, the dean and others. And he said, I think this is a wake-up call for me. And I subsequently saw him, I said, I hope you're woke by now. And by that I mean that let's not turn our backs to what's going on. When you've got people out here telling you that DEI is dead, they must be. When they are telling you that you can't even talk about what you're honoring me for, they need to wake up. When they can waste all kinds of money, and God only knows how much that is, it's time for them to understand that spending money on the education of our young children can't be wasted. I went to an elementary school with no cafeteria, no auditorium. And for a while, we didn't even have the aspects of a cafeteria. The principals were white. And quite frankly, in one of them, we had outdoor toilets. But we can't talk about that because we can't talk about from whence we've come and to where we are. Oh, people see me, oh man, you were the governor. I said, how do you think I got to be? The people wanted me. The people said, we don't care what they are saying otherwise. We want him. And to that extent, I didn't just rely on a group of people. I didn't just rely on some people. I took time off. I said, I want to take a couple of weeks and I want to travel Virginia. I thought I knew Virginia. Got to Southwest Virginia. I thought Roanoke was part of it. Roanoke might be the start of where you're going. And I made a vow that I was not going to sleep in hotels or motels, but only in the homes of the people that I met and that I knew. And I had occasion to learn so much. During that period of time in which I campaigned Virginia, not a single person refused to shake my hand. Not a single group said, no, you can't come in here and campaign. These were Virginians. And the media went, oh, they were coming out to follow where I was going, and I chose it that way because I knew I'd get all the free media in the world because they wanted to be there to record the incident when they would throw me out, when they would say, oh, we're not going to vote for him. And I could hear them talking, and I could hear the people talking to them, saying, well, yeah, I can see that. I can look at him and see that. They were, well, no, I haven't had a chance to vote yet. So, no, I have not voted. What they were saying was, I've never voted for a black person because I've never had a black person run in Lee County, in Washington County, or in Nottoway, and places like that. And so I can thank you again for what you're doing. Please, please don't forget that you are where it starts. And for the most part, you're where it ends. Because if you don't do your job, the next one cannot be completed. And you can't build on a foundation that's faulty. You're the foundation of government. And God bless you for having me here today to be with you. Jesus.
Governor, we thank you. Just a little more to come. Um, you are an incredible history maker, trailblazer, not just in this city, not just in this Commonwealth, but in this country.
Mhm.
And we, with the support of certainly the administration and my colleagues, will make sure that you will never be a hidden figure in this land,
Oh, thank you very much.
that we understand the contribution, and we're thankful for the trail you blazed from being senator to lieutenant governor to being governor to being the first popularly elected mayor. I remember when you came in there, and we are so thankful for your incredible public service, servant leadership. And I want to thank and now turn over to my colleague who has ensured that there will never be any lack of clarity about the contribution, but even more that you will never be a hidden figure. And I have to say, I am also honored to be a graduate of the school that now bears your name.
Thank you.
And I thank you for all of the work that you did to get to that place, to have that opportunity.
Thank
But I just have to thank my colleague who wanted to make sure it's like, okay,
you.
when are we doing it? And of course, we said, I want.
Governor Wilder, as I stand here tonight, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart that I appreciate everything that you have done. And I remember the last speech that I heard about a month ago when you were speaking about being in the Korean War, and all the things that you went through, you and the guys that were under you. You never blamed anybody. You said, hey, I got to take this to the higher up. And you did, so that you and others could be recognized for all the things that you did in the war. And that touched my heart because I knew that each expression that was taking your photos, I could tell you were speaking from your heart. and I could feel what you were relating to all of us in there. You move forward. You move forward. And you've done that by serving our country, by being the first African American Virginia and our first elected mayor in this city. And I know it wasn't always easy. I know it wasn't. I could tell. And I know that you don't hold grudges. You just say, hey, I'll move forward. We're going to work this out. And that's what you've told me. Always you say to me, show me what you've done. Tell me what you've done. Why should I vote for you? Why should I support you? In 1996 at your radio station. And little Rosa Jones brought me over there with her husband and some others, and I had never been on a radio show. I didn't even know what to say. And you just took your time with me. And you said, that poor child, that poor child.
We'll make it.
But I love you with all my heart.
Right.
And you've been there for me through the good, the bad, and ugly. You never threw me aside. And that's what's always mattered to me. I knew I could call you, and I still call on you all the time. And you take my calls. You never once say no. And let me just say, there will never, ever be another Governor L. Douglas Wilder.
Ooh,
Not ever in this. Not ever.
thank you. Well, thank you all very, very much. We'll see. And should I? Well, I just want to say thank you for what you've done. And one of the things that you iterated, and I think the president was saying this, that I moved from one title to another. The title I've never have moved from, though, and people still call me that, is Doug. And I like that. God bless you, and thank you for all you've done for me. Thank you. All right. Oh, yes. I've broken enough cameras, but come on. I'll turn around.
Thank you.
Now, yes. Thank you. And so now I guess it's time and good enough for me to get out before the fighting starts. God bless you guys. God bless you guys. Thank you very much. See you guys.
And Madam President, that concludes the awards and recognitions ceremony for this evening.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's proceed with the public comment period speakers.
The first speaker is Mieko Timmons. Mieko Timmons. The next speaker is Valerie Slater. Valerie Slater. The last speaker is Cora Hayes, and she is virtually speaking. Ms. Hayes, you may begin your comments when you're ready. Ms. Hayes, you were just unmuted. If you would unmute again and begin your comment.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Cora Hayes, and I'm a resident of the 5th District. I come before you this afternoon to address the City Code Section 24 24-34 Snow Removal City of Richmond Code. It states that the property owners are required by city code to clean the snow and ice from sidewalks adjacent to their property within 6 hours after the snow stops or by 11 a.m. the next day. Failure to do so is a Class 4 misdemeanor with a fine per city guidelines. Calls to 311 customer service care rep sends these complaints to the wrong department. They send them to code enforcement instead of Department of Public Works. And I would like for that issue to be addressed as well as to see the snow removal code addressed with these private landlords that are not doing their required responsibility to their tenants. I live in an area in a community where it's composed mostly of seniors, the oldest senior being 94 and the youngest 80. And our sidewalks were not clean until after I called the 311. They came out later that day and they did clean, but they didn't do the front, nor did they remove the snow from the other 58 units 48 units, 49 units that they have up here. These landlords need to be, their code needs to be enforced to these landlords and they need to be fined. And I'm asking that you look into this and address this issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes, for joining us and providing your comment in that regard. And I know that we have administrative staff who will follow up and get back with you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Madam President, those are all of the speakers for this evening's public comment period.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Then let's move on to review any amendments to tonight's agenda.
The amendments to tonight's agenda are as follows. Item 4, Ordinance 2025-258 will be continued to the Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 council meeting. Item 5, Ordinance 2025-259 will be amended later this evening and then continued to the Monday, February 23rd council meeting. Item 7, Ordinance 2025-270 will be continued to the February 23rd council meeting. Item 16, Ordinance 2025-287 will be continued to the Tuesday, March 10th council meeting. Item 18, Ordinance 2026-003, and Item 32, Ordinance 2026-019 will both be continued to the Monday, February 23rd council meeting. Item 37, Ordinance 2026-024, and Item 39, Ordinance 2026-026 will both be amended later this evening and then continued to the February 23rd council meeting. Item 48, Resolution 2026-R003 will be continued to the February 23rd council meeting. Item 49, Ordinance 2025-215 will be amended later this evening and then continued to the February 23rd council meeting. Item 50, Ordinance 2025-282 will be continued to the Monday, March 23rd council meeting. Item 51, Ordinance 2026-001 will be continued to the February 23rd council meeting. Item 52, Ordinance 2026-017 will be continued to the Tuesday, March 10th council meeting. And item 53, Ordinance 2026-018 will be continued to the February 23rd council meeting. Madam President, those are all the amendments to tonight's agenda.
Mr. Clerk, thank you for the reading of those items. Let's, members, is there a motion to accept the agenda as articulated
So
and
moved.
amended?
So moved.
Council is voting on this evening's agenda amendments as read. Mr. Breton? Aye. Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan? And President Newbill.
Aye.
The amended agenda is now before you, and this evening's consent agenda consists of the following items. Item 2, Ordinance 2025-150. Item 3, Ordinance 2025-228. Item 6, ordinance 2025-266. Items 8 through 15, ordinances 2025-278, 279, 280, 281, 283, 284, 285, and 286. Item 17, ordinance 2026-002. Items 19 through 31, ordinances 2026-004, 005, 006, 007, 008, 009, 010, 011, 012, 013, 014, 015, and 016. Item 33, ordinance 2026-020. Item 34, ordinance 2026-021. Item 35, ordinance 2026-022. Item 36, ordinance 2026-023. Item 38, ordinance 2026-025. Items 40 through 46, ordinances 2026-027, 028, 029, 030, 031, 032, and 033. And item 47, resolution 2026-R002. Those are all the items on tonight's consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. At this point, we will proceed with a public hearing on the consent agenda items. Are there persons present in the audience desirous of speaking in opposition to any item on the consent agenda? If you would come forward. Thank you. Are there persons present in the audience desirous of speaking in favor of any item on the consent agenda? If you would come forward. Welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm not sure if I'm trying to speak up for the 2026-028. So good evening. My name is Maria, and I live at 2122 Parkwood Avenue, which is adjacent to this property, which is 103 South Shields Avenue. I wanted to note for the record that I was unable to attend the Planning Commission hearing because the mail notice arrived late to us Saturday, February 7, and the meeting was planned for February 5th. So this is my first opportunity to speak up about my concerns about this special permit. My primary concern is the loss of functionality access to my garage due to the perceived construction along the alley. The existing alley is about 15 feet wide, which is below typical city design standards for safe vehicle maneuvering, and removing the existing open space makes the garage accessible unworkable. Currently, I must use part of the open parking area on the applicant's property to safely turn in and out of my driveway. If this project is built to the property line and wall is constructed, that maneuvering space will be eliminated, making it unsafe and impossible for us to access our garage. If you have any questions, I also have like a sketch that it kind of shows our garage and the 16 special permit that it will take in, and I can share with you guys if you need it. Continuing on, I also understand that this project does not meet the requirements of the R63 zoning district, including standards related to lot dimensions and requiring yards, which is why the applicant is requesting a special use permit. The deviations from these zoning requirements combined with the existing substandard alley conditions significantly worsen the impact on adjacent property like ours. I want to emphasize that we raised this concern earlier after receiving notice of the special use permit request. We met with the applicant's architect, showing them how we currently access our garage and explain them why the proposed design will make access impossible. Unfortunately, no solutions or design modifications was provided to address this issue. I wanted to let you know that we do have the architects in here, and we touched base with him earlier on this meeting. He said that he raised the concerns to the planning or the zoning, but they just proceed with it without taking any of our concerns. This is not a matter of inconvenience or preference. It's safety issue and a loss of functional access that affect the daily use
You have 30 seconds.
of our property. Because this project does not meet the underline of RC 63 zoning requirements or relies on a special use permit, I respectfully ask the city council to either deny the permit or require condition that preserves adequate turning radius and safe alley access for agencies properties like ours. And if you need the sketch, I can share it with you.
Yes, if you will leave, yes, our clerk will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Lynch?
Yeah,
Oh, no, yeah, if you would hold 1 second.
I'm sorry.
Are there any other persons desirous of speaking to any papers on the consent agenda at this time? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed.
Madam President, we do have one virtual speaker for
Oh,
the
okay.
Southward side.
Please,
Lenora McQueen.
Yes, hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
hello.
And I'm sorry, is my time limit? Do I have a time limit?
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, members of council. Currently, I'm a lead researcher on a forthcoming biography and corrective narrative of Christopher McPherson that's currently in development. McPherson, though he may not be known to many, is one of the most important figures in the history of the city of Richmond and in this nation. He was a national literary pioneer, the first African American to copyright in U.S. history. He was a wealthy, formerly enslaved businessman who served as a clerk for the High Court of Chancery. For 200 years, he has been dismissed as insane or ruined, but my research based on source reconstruction proves he was a brilliant success who was legally exonerated of those labels. His importance to Richmond history is physical. Some of you may know him as the man who in 1810 wrote a petition that led to the city's establishment of the Shockoe Hill African Burying Ground. But remarkably, he was also a civic architect who personally paid to pave the streets of 7th and Clay, the very streets the city now seeks to reconnect. My research identifies the historic plot 519 on the northwest corner of 7th and Clay as his half-acre residential estate. While the building itself is gone, the brick foundations and the artifacts of his life likely remain preserved under that asphalt. This is the Coliseum property. This half-acre is not underutilized. It is a monument to Black intellectual and financial power. The current city center plans identify the Blues Armory as a historical site, yet they are completely silent on plot 519. This exposes a blind spot. The city is protecting the history it can see while inadvertently planning to pulverize the history it has forgotten. These ordinances, 2025, 266 and 284, and I think one other dealing with the Coliseum, facilitate deep excavation for underground parking or other construction that will destroy this site. I would ask for a continuance or an amendment requiring a DPR survey of plot 519. I also formally request consultation status due to my extensive research on McPherson. I ask that the city center be built that will also honor the man who helped build the very street constructed upon.
Thank you, Ms. McQueen. With that, we will close the public. Sir, okay. If you will come forward, and I'm going to ask if there are any other persons present desirous of speaking in favor and or opposition to any papers on the consent agenda, if you will come forward now. So if you will come over, sir.
Madam President, I believe he wants to speak to the janitorial services contract ordinance
Oh, okay.
resolution, which is
We're
on the
not
regular
there
agenda.
yet. Okay, thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to council. Councilmember Lynch?
Oh, no, no, sorry, I had my microphone on for disregard.
Okay. Any other, Councilmember Gibson?
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to speak to items 13 and 14, ordinance 2025-284 and 2025-285. These are the two ordinances specific to the parcels being transferred to the Economic Development Authority for the city center project. And basically following up on the email that I sent to the body on Friday. And I probably should have requested that we pull these out so that I could vote on them separately. As I mentioned, I would like to vote no on these two papers, just due to the fact that, I'd like to have the body have a more of a commitment that there'll be a community benefit agreement in place. For context, coming out of where we're at with the Diamond District, the city having a shortage of funding in terms of infrastructure, the perceived union labor guarantees not being fulfilled. I think it's important that we document or have some type of vehicle by which this body can ensure that when economic development deals happen, that there is a true community benefit agreement that's in place. Some of the things that I wanted to see in the MOU for the city center would include the minority business enterprise and emerging small business participation plan. That is the 40% MBE target. A commitment to hire Richmond residents for the construction of the project, a project labor agreement that mandates that 40% of the project man hours be performed by union labor, and that all contractors are paid at least $18 an hour or the prevailing wage, whatever's higher. I do understand that there is currently a cooperation agreement between the city and the EDA for the City Center Coliseum parcel. I've seen that the minimum wage there for workers would be $15. I've not seen these guarantees. Personally, I don't feel comfortable voting yes on these until we see that these things are guaranteed. If we're going to spend millions of dollars on city money and transfer city-owned property eventually to an authority, I just think it's our responsibility to ensure that workers are fairly compensated, and that Richmonders truly see the benefits of these projects.
Thank you, Councilmember Gibson. And I believe that I want to ask, I'm not sure, Mr. Donald, which of yourself and or staffers might speak to this concern. I think this is something that members would like to hear, how we will ensure that a community benefit agreement is something that is a part of this project. So you can, sir, yes, yourself. And I didn't know if you were coming forward or you were going to designate staff or. Welcome, Mr. Don.
Thank you. Good evening, council. So I think a combination of, I'll start, and Ms. Ebert, who is one of our resident leaders who's been here for quite some time and can highlight some of these actions as well. I actually responded to Councilor Gibson a little bit earlier today about this activity. So there are a couple of things just to highlight. I think one, is the language was included in both the previous, because I know one of the concerns was that language around our MBE programs as well as our union agreements being in the previous agreements. They actually were. I think one of the challenges was around performance. And so those things have been included. They will continue to be included. And so there's not necessarily an issue there, but wanted to highlight a couple of things, which I did include in my email correspondence back to Ms. Gibson. I think the first piece is around the forward-looking activities and the disparity study for which you passed recently, I believe unanimously. Well, in that disparity study, it actually lowered the recommendation from 40% to 21%, and that was because of the environment of Richmond and our readiness to be able to comply. And I'll get back to that here in a second. But just in a review, it only showed one of our contractors that was both union, one of our MBE contractors that was also union. And so with these activities being tied together to a certain extent, that's something that we should look at and consider, because low bid requirements could hinder the union participation because you end up choosing one or the other versus supporting, let's say, that singular vendor for coordination. And I also wanted to just talk about the past performance, because I think in the past you put together both an MBE and union labor requirements on these programs. I know in the past the issue that was in question, Luna was worked with, and you had elevator and I believe electric professional organized labor associated. And so when, someone is available, we make sure to provide that. And the same with minority contractors. I would also say that this is included, these requirements, in the current RFIs that are out and will be negotiated as well. So I think we're on track there in meeting the requirements that are requested. There is one piece that you have to look at, because it looks like we're combining the two. When you look at, I call it the GRTC hub. I know people been for a while talk about it as the public safety, the former home of the Public Safety Center. That hub also will likely include funding from the FTA. And so if we are contemplating that source of funding, those federal funds, then we're not able to add those local restrictions in the same way because it's a federal project. So just wanted to provide those insights, and we can take any questions, and anything that I'm not in position to answer, Ms. Ebert is. Matter of fact, Ms. Ebert, I just ask you to come up, just in case we get some questions on this.
Thank you, CA O'Donnell.
Mhm.
Councilmember Gibson, did you have a question, or okay. Any further comment and/or clarification relative to the concern that you want to add beyond what Mr. Donnell has shared with us this time? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, Madam Clerk, I'll ask that we call the question.
Council is voting on the consent agenda as presented. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
I'm voting yes, with the exception of items 13 and 14 as discussed.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newbill.
Aye.
Those papers have all been adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Let's proceed to the regular agenda.
The first regular agenda for this evening is as follows. Item 54, resolution number 2025-R050, and that's to request that the mayor propose an annual fiscal year 2028 budget that recommends a real estate tax levy of $1.16 per $100 of assessed value as a means of tax relief for residents who pay real estate taxes, and to provide estimates of additional revenue and planned expenditures if the real estate tax levy for fiscal year 2028 were $1.20 per $100 of assessed value. That paper is before council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would the patron like to make any comment prior to public hearing? Lead patron. Any comment from any of the patron? Say again? No, we're not in. I was
Thank you, Madam
affording the
President.
opportunity for patrons to make comment prior to the
I
public
apologize.
hearing.
I was listening to the rustling of the crowd. So colleagues, we introduced this paper almost 5.5 months ago. It's taken quite a journey since then. When it was first introduced to you all, the proposal was to have the budget introduced at $1.16, concurrent to this year's budget at $1.20. We have worked with the mayor's office and members of the administration to set a more reasonable timeline. And if you notice, that amendment is before you to be set at fiscal year 2028. So that really gives the mayor and the administration time to contemplate a budget at 116 and 120. I want to be genuine and reflect their feedback that I was given, which is that should this pass, we would get the budget at 120 as we're typically presented. And then I believe how they would implement that is a list of items, line items by line item that would have to come out if that budget were funded at 116. So it's a different way to cut the apple, but we're still getting at the same exercise, which is to give us an option to say, this is to give us that option before we set the tax rate in November. This is what a budget would look like at 116, and this is what a budget would look like at 120. And so, members, that gets us a little bit closer to certainly to giving us the option should we want to reduce that tax rate. And really the fundamental underpinning of that is, are we burdening our residents too much to fully fund an operating budget? So in order for us to answer that question, we need to know what the operating budget looks like at both of those rates to know if we're making a inappropriate policy choice by keeping the tax rate the same. So it's really just to give us more information and tools in our toolbox when we're setting the tax rate.
Thank you, Councilmember Lynch. With that, we will proceed to a public hearing on the paper. Do we have persons present desirous of speaking in opposition to the paper? If you would come forward. Mr. Clerk, do we have persons online who have indicated desire to speak?
We do not, Madam President.
Okay. Do we have persons present desirous of speaking in favor of the paper? If you would come forward. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Bring it back to council for discussion. Members? Any additional questions, comments, etc.? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk or Madam Clerk, I would ask that we call the question.
Council is now voting on Resolution 2025-R050 as presented. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson? Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newville.
Aye.
That paper has been adopted.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if we would proceed to the next item on the regular agenda.
The next regular agenda item is as follows. Item number 55, resolution number 2026-R004, and that's to request that the mayor propose a fiscal year 27 budget that recommends $1.1 million in funding to increase wages and benefits for contracted janitorial workers and pursue an amendment of the city's janitorial services contract during fiscal year 2027 to add a requirement that the city's janitorial services contractor pay its employees at least the city's minimum wage. That paper is before council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would the patrons like to speak to the paper prior to public hearing? Okay.
Madam President, again, want to thank all my colleagues. It's another paper. It's taken quite a journey. The goal and intent of this paper is really to mirror the city's own commitment to its workers to give them a living wage at $20 an hour. As many of you know, for a long time, our contracted city vendors have not made, have made just at minimum wage, have not made a living wage, and work tirelessly with you, for you, every day. We see them. They have came and testified before us on numerous occasions, asking for us to help them move the needle to get to a living wage at $20 an hour. This is simply an attempt to help move that needle, and hope to get your support.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lynch. At this point, we'll proceed with a public hearing on the paper. Are there folks in the audience, and I see you, sir, coming forward, desires of speaking in favor of the paper?
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. My name is Tremaine Johnson. I'm here on behalf of 32BJ SEIU, which represents over 185,000 building service workers up and down the East Coast, nearly 8,000 of whom are in the state of Virginia and nearly 700 here in Richmond. Our members are essential cleaners, security officers, airport workers, and other building service workers who keep our cities up and running. With our dedicated members, we fight to make life better for all working families in Virginia. Richmond has a proud record of setting high standards for city workers. Speaking about the 2023 budget, former Mayor Stoney noted that inclusion of living wage standards reflects the value of investing in the city employees who serve us, the importance of maintaining quality streets and services, and the memorialization of our city's full true history. That is why Richmond currently sets a $20 per hour minimum wage for city employees and contracted security officers. However, this wage does not extend to over 100 janitors who are contracted by but not directly employed by the city. Most of these contracted workers make $15 an hour, and unlike employees of the city of Richmond, have no paid time off. I'm here today in support of this resolution, which calls for city contracted janitorial workers to get the living wage and paid sick leave they deserve by increasing their wages to $20 minimum and providing 40 hours of paid time off and paid holidays. This amounts to a small proportion of the city's budget. While the cost of the city is small, the impact would be wide-reaching. Standardizing a living wage for contractor service workers avoids a race to the bottom, ensuring that contractors are competing on the quality of their services rather than how low they can drive down labor costs. There's a strong national precedent for this policy, and research shows that under living wage laws, employers attract and retain dedicated workers and increase productivity. This would be especially helpful to employers in Richmond, where many already face recruitment challenges given the city's low unemployment rate. At 32BJ, we have seen time and time again how much positive impact lifting standards for contracted workers can have on local economies. It's time to close the gap. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
All right. Good evening, council members. Thank you for taking the time to hear us tonight. My name is Latrice Gregory, and I am here with SEIU 32BJ to speak in support of a living wage resolution. I have lived in Richmond for 34 years and worked as a day porter for 25 of those years. And during that time, I have watched the city grow and progress. Unfortunately, too often, that progress has left essential city workers like myself behind. City contracted cleaners in Richmond are drowning and stuck between skyrocketing living expenses and wages that refuse to keep up. I was fortunate enough to find a way out. I recently left my job as a city contracted day porter and now work for the Chesterfield County Public Schools. For the first time, I truly feel valued, and I'm earning the wages and benefits that all Richmond city contracted workers deserve. The deeper reason I am here tonight is to speak on behalf of my 72-year-old mother, someone who has not been able to escape these conditions. My mother works full-time as a city contractor cleaner, earning $15 an hour. She showed up as an essential worker 34 years ago and has never stopped showing up since. Adopting this resolution would mean that workers like my mother could finally earn a dignified living wage, one that allows them to plan for their future, whether that means retiring with dignity or continue to support their families. My mother is one of hundreds of workers who are just a few dollars away from peace of mind and financial stability. That is why I am here today, to stand up for the city's unseen pillars. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Gregory. Are there persons present desirous of speaking in opposition to the paper? You would come forward. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to council for discussion. Councilwoman Jones.
Thank you, Madam President. I just had a quick question. I believe it was in the Finance Committee, the administration had spoke to making a connection with the contractor before. I just wanted to make sure, if we received any of that information prior to us voting? Because I know when, that was finance, right? Yeah, at the Finance Committee meeting, the administration spoke on behalf, saying that they had a meeting or they were going to meet with the contractors before this. And I just want to make sure, because I don't want us to vote and we basically giving false promises. So I want to make sure that that was taken care of.
Thank you, Mr. Donald.
Good evening. Yeah, so for this one, we have spoken with the contractor. I think that it is not fully clear just yet what the impacts would be of us pursuing this action. I think you've seen in other activities that you can proceed with let's say, adjusting the contracts, the salaries up. But it doesn't mean that if we put $20 into the contract, that it immediately just results in $20 per person. There are other considerations and things of that nature. But I think tonight is a resolution and not an ordinance on the table. So this is simply expressing the council's intent that they would like the administration to look at it, consider it, and if possible, include it in the budget. So I see nothing prohibiting you from making your statement on what you would see. And then once you receive the budget, whether it's in there or not, you have the ability to make your adjusted amendments and things of that nature to make your desires the law of the land through budget. So I'll leave the council with that if it's helpful.
Thank you. Councilwoman Robertson.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Mr. Donald. I also recall from that conversation that we looked at some comparisons as it relates to continue to work through contractual services as well as bringing in our own staff to take care of the services that we need provided for the city. And, I know I talked to one of your departments as it relates to our security services that we have on staff here. And there was some comparison there. And I would just ask, as you consider this resolution and you provide information back to the council, that we continue to look at that option as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Because as you said, we contract the services, that's one thing. If we hire them ourselves, we can provide. I recognize that there may be a significant difference in cost, but they're our employees and we'll have an opportunity to really take care of all of our employees in the same honorable, respectful way. So I would just like to make sure as a part of the resolution that we continue to consider that option as well as we make final decisions. Thank you, Madam President.
And Councilman, I would just add, as we look at this, it doesn't have to be a final answer today, right? This is the council stating what their desires are. There may be a world in which, whether it's in this budget or future budgets, where we look at, are there opportunities to increase our staffing? Some of these folks you know, in the city, the last 3 cities that I've had the honor of serving, our police provided this service on our behalf, but that's because we were able to have a certain number of police. And so that impacts our ability. But then also, if you go in that direction, there's another unintended consequences because does this group of people have jobs? And so we're looking at the holistic way, keeping people employed, whether it be with a contractor or us, and just making sure that they are treated fairly. And I think the council's resolution that asks us to just give it a holistic look and make these considerations is one that, you know, I know the mayor is considering strongly, and this budget will reflect that at minimum, we looked at a way, understanding the council's position, that we looked at a way to incorporate it. All right. Is there?
Thank you. Councilmember Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President. And I just wanted to thank Councilmember Lynch for your leadership on this, and Councilmember Robinson. I support the paper, and as I've expressed before, I definitely think that it is worth continuing to explore insourcing these employees. The school district has their custodians and janitors in-house, and I definitely think that there could be cost savings there. But as a first step, I think that this is definitely the right path forward, and I look forward to getting the additional clarification. I know in our last, I think, OD meeting, I know I had some other questions and others had other questions, so look forward to getting that clarification.
Yes, I'm still awaiting those, by the way. I haven't received them.
These were in-person questions.
Yes, but the commitment at leaving that meeting was that y'all were going to gather them and provide them to me. I wasn't here writing them down. So I answered what I could in person, but I have not received those questions formally.
Okay. I'm sure that our staff can
work to make sure you
elaborate that on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, members, any other questions, comments, et cetera? Seeing nothing else in that regard, I'll ask that we call the question.
Council is now voting on resolution number 2026-R004 as presented. Mr. Breton.
Aye.
Ms. Gibson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Aye.
Ms. Robertson. Ms. Lynch. Ms. Trammell.
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar.
Aye.
Vice President Jordan.
Aye.
And President Newbill.
Aye.
That paper has been adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's proceed to address any amendments and continuances.
Yes, Madam President. Before you first is a motion to amend item number 5 on the agenda, ordinance number 2025-259, which would authorize the special use of 2315 Floyd Avenue for the purpose of a 2-family attached dwelling with an accessory dwelling unit upon certain terms and conditions. And the proposed amendment would modify the plans. Councilmember Gibson, would you make the motion to amend and continue this ordinance to the Monday, February 23rd council meeting?
I'm sorry, this is regarding the Affordable Housing Trust Fund?
No, this is regarding item number 5 on the agenda, ordinance number 2025-259, which is a special use.
So moved.
Thank you. And Vice President Jordan, would you second the motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2025-259 to the February 23rd council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton. Ms. Gibson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Aye.
Ms. Robertson. Ms. Lynch. Ms. Trammell.
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar. Vice President Jordan.
Aye.
President Newbill.
Aye.
That motion has been approved and that paper as amended will be before you again on February 23rd.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Next
item.
before you is a motion to amend item number 37 on your agenda, ordinance number 2026-024, which would authorize the special use of 401 West Marshall Street for the purpose of 1 single-family detached dwelling and a multifamily dwelling containing no more than 3 dwelling units upon certain terms and conditions. The proposed amendment would modify certain terms and conditions. Vice President Jordan, would you make the motion, please, to amend and continue this paper to the February 23rd council meeting?
So moved.
Councilmember Robertson, will you second that?
Second.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2026-024 to the February 23rd council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton. Ms. Gibson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Aye.
Ms. Robertson, Ms. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Trammell,
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar,
Aye.
Vice President Jordan, and President Newbill.
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again on February 23rd.
Thank you.
Next before you is a motion to amend item number 39 on your agenda, which is ordinance number 2026-026, which would authorize the special use of 715 Mosby Street for the purpose of a mixed-use building upon certain terms and conditions, and to repeal ordinance number 2010-128-172, adopted October 11, 2010, and all amendatory ordinances thereto. The proposed amendment would modify certain terms and conditions. Councilmember Jones, will you please make the motion to amend and continue this paper to the Monday, February 23rd council meeting?
So moved.
Councilmember Trammell, will you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2026-026 to the February 23rd council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton, Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Robertson, Ms. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Trammell,
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar,
Aye.
Vice President Jordan, and President Newbill.
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again on February 23rd.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item.
Next before you is a motion to amend ordinance, item number 49, which is ordinance number 2025-215, which would authorize the special use of 1705 Commonwealth Avenue for the purpose of a space for outdoor events upon certain terms and conditions. The proposed amendment would modify certain terms and conditions. Councilmember Abubakar, would you make the motion to amend and continue this paper to the Monday, February 23rd council meeting?
So moved.
Councilmember Breton, will you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2025-215 to the February 23rd council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Robertson, Ms. Lynch, Ms. Trammell,
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar,
Aye.
Vice President Jordan,
Aye.
and President Newbill.
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again on February 23rd.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are we at the point of expedited resolutions?
We are, Madam President.
The first two papers for expedited consideration this evening are resolutions R005 and R006. A resolution to consent to the Director of Emergency Management's declaration that a local emergency exists in the city of Richmond beginning on January 23rd, 2026 due to the effects of a winter storm, and a resolution to consent to the Director of Emergency Management's declaration that a local emergency exists in the city of Richmond beginning on January 30th, 2026 due to the effects of a winter storm. I will need a motion to expedite consideration of these papers. Councilmember Abubakar, will you make that motion?
So moved. Second.
Council is now voting on a motion to expedite consideration of the proposed resolutions as read. Mr. Breton? Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan? And President Newbill.
Aye.
Those papers are now before the council.
Thank you. Not sure if the administration is desirous of making any comment relative to the two papers at this point. Mr. Willoughby, I see you're coming forward.
Good evening. Per Virginia Code, requires that City Council confirm the declaration of emergency that the mayor declares. And in this case, we had two of them since our last meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Willoughby. At this point, we will proceed with a public hearing on the papers. Do we have persons present desirous of speaking in opposition to either of the papers? Seeing none, do we have persons present desirous of speaking in favor of either of the papers? Seeing none, bring it back to council. Public hearing closed for discussion. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk or Mr. Clerk, if you would call the question.
Council is now voting on resolutions 2026 R005 and 2026 R006 as read. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abu Bakr?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newbill.
Aye.
Those papers have been adopted.
Thank you. Let's proceed to the next item there.
The final paper for expedited consideration this evening is a resolution to repeal resolutions 2026 R005 and 2026 R006, adopted February 9th, 2026, concerning the effects of winter storms because the states of emergency have ended. I'll need a motion to expedite consideration of this paper. Councilmember Breton, will you make that motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Jones, will you second?
Second.
Council is voting on a motion to expedite consideration of the proposed resolution as read. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abu Bakr?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan? And President Newbill.
Aye.
That paper is before the council for consideration.
Thank you. We will proceed with the public hearing on the paper. We have persons present desirous of speaking in opposition to the paper. Seeing none, do we have persons present desirous of speaking in favor of the paper? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Bring it back to council for discussion. Members, are there any questions, comments, etc.? Councilman Breton.
That's the requirements of this resolution. There we go. I'd just like to be explained precisely what this repeal does and why it's a necessary step.
Thank you. And I will ask someone from Mr. Willoughby is coming forward to provide that clarification.
The city attorney may provide a little bit more clarification, but it's my understanding under Virginia State Code, city council is also the authority that undeclares an emergency as well. So because there has not been a council meeting since the emergencies were declared, in the same meeting, we're having to reaffirm those declarations as well as undeclare those emergencies.
So are the two resolutions that we're repealing the two resolutions that we just passed? Are they the same? Thank you.
Ms. Drury, any additional comment relative to those two items?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's what
thank
state
you.
law requires.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, if we can proceed to call the question.
Council is now voting on resolution 2026 R007 as presented. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abu Bakr?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newbill.
Aye.
That paper has been adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Let's proceed to the papers for introduction, motions to amend.
Madam President, we've already covered the motions to amend. Would you like to handle the approval of the
sorry.
minutes?
No. Hold on one second. I didn't turn my page fast enough and I'm working from 2 pages. You're absolutely correct. So, yes, let's proceed to, and did we get them all? There were 4 of them, correct? On the motion to amend.
Yes, we handled all 4 of those, I believe. We should have.
24, 26, 15, and 59. 59. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. I didn't turn my page over. If we, yes, would proceed to approval of minutes.
The minutes to be approved are from the Monday, January 12th, 2026 informal and formal city council meeting at 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. If there are no corrections or amendments, then the minutes will be approved as presented. Those minutes have been approved.
Thank you. Let's proceed to introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
Members, the list of legislation for introduction this evening consisting of items 8 through 24 has been provided to you, and the legislation on this list is hereby introduced as presented. A copy of the list is currently available for public inspection at the rear of the chamber, and an electronic copy and copies of the listed legislation will be available on the city's website on Tuesday, February 10th. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that, we will proceed to reports and announcements from members. Councilmember Albebacher.
Hey, if you haven't heard of it already, www.isthenickelbridgeopen.com for all your Nickel Bridge opening and closing announcements. That will be up and running all year round, even in good weather. On next Tuesday, on the 17th, the Forest Hill Neighborhood Association and Southampton Neighborhood Association will be meeting. Then on March 3rd, we will be holding a Parks Master Plan engagement session at the Vale Brewing Company on Forest Hill Avenue, overlooking the future site of the Westover Park. So please join us for that. And there is also, when's the Run for the Hills? March 14th, Run for the Hills 5K. So please come out and join us for that wonderful community event. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Trammell.
Thank you, Madam President. Just have a couple announcements. We're supposed to have a senior event tomorrow at the TV Smith Community Center, but it has been canceled. Again, that event for February the 10th at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., it has been canceled until the spring. I will be updating people with emails and all of that to let them know when we're going to reschedule. It's because of the weather. There's still a lot of ice out there, a lot of snow that is not melted on all of our back streets, so I don't want to see some of our people get hurt. Also, if you have any questions for me, you can always call my home at 804-233-7382. You can call my personal cell, 804-240-5050. Also, we know that a lot of people using kerosene heaters and things like that. Please be careful, because we know that they can cause a fire if you have them too close to your clothes or to other things that can catch on fire. If you need a smoke alarm, you can call the firefighters at 646-1526, or you can go to the nearest fire station, which a lot of seniors have, to ask them to please come to their home and check their smoke alarm, because some of them need new batteries or some of them need to be replaced. And our firefighters, all over the city, do not mind doing this, and they're grateful that when they see the citizens come there and ask them to come to their home to please check them, because we know that these working smoke alarms will save your life. I just want to say again, thank my colleagues, thank the mayor for this this tonight that I will always cherish for the rest of my life, and that is to honor Governor L. Douglas Wilder for all of his accomplishments, dedication that he has given to our country, to our state, and to our city. Thank you all. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Trammell, and I just want to thank you for your leadership and ensuring that that recognition happened for a most worthy legacy public servant in our city, in our Commonwealth, in our country. So thank you for your leadership in coordinating that. Councilwoman Robertson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A few announcements. Again, thank you, Ms. Trammell, for the leadership and recognition of our governor there. Also, I just want to start off by thanking the administration as well as our council chief of staff role that you've played in helping us with the ice storm that we've gone through And the fact that we have gotten through it as successful as we have in the long, dedicated hours that everybody has had to put in place. And overall, we did a pretty good job at cleaning up the city. Thank you so much. So the 6th District is having a February Town Hall meeting on Saturday, February the 21st at 10 o'clock till 12. It will be at Marvell Design, which is at 300 East Main Street. The theme will focus on our housing crisis and provisions that are being made to address the needs, but we also want to hear from residents to make sure that our program aligns with the services that are needed. Also want to extend an invitation to the 6th District and the city. Mayor Villa will be hosting his inauguration State of the City event on Wednesday, February the 18th from 5:30 to 7:30. This change at Southside Community Center, 6255. Change? All right. I'll let Ms. Jones tell you what's going on with that, because that's the information I have. All right. Past this Friday, Saturday, the Department of Planning and Development review held a 6-point neighborhood note plan open house at the Ann Hardy Center. Had quite a few people come out in the ice and gave us wonderful comments, and we'll do a follow-up with that as to the next steps. There will be some public hearings and information on that. Also, I want to congratulate Ann Holton for accepting the interim position as a school board for the 6th District. We look forward to working with her and introducing her to more of the citizens in the district. Also tonight, there's a special additional paper that is being introduced to address affordable housing and the need for funding. Would ask that the citizens just stay in touch with that. I see that committee will be going to the Finance Committee within the next week. And my office will send out additional information in regards to that as well. And again, thanks to the team that was out there making sure that we clean our streets up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Councilmember Trammell, you had an additional update.
I just wanted to announce that today I was notified that King Sasami passed away, and he lived in our 8th District, and he's definitely going to be missed for all the great achievements that he gave to our city and to everyone. He was always available when we had different issues, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew of his passing. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Jones.
Thank you, Madam President. Excuse me. Thursday, February 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Southside Community Center. We'll host our monthly town hall with presentations from Parks and Rec on the Richmond Inspire, as well as Virginia Community Voice on civic engagement. We'll be working with them a little bit more throughout this year. Join us and bring a neighbor. Tuesday, February 24th from 6 p.m. to 7:45. Please join OCWB Office of Community Wealth Building for part 1 of their Wealth Building for Life series. You can visit their website at bit.ly roadmap future 26 to register. There's lots of things happening in honor of Black History Month, but for a full comprehensive list of Black History events, you can go to visitrichmondva.com. It's Southside Community Center. There's something there for everyone. Please sure to visit soon. And then there's also a Black History celebration, in particular in the 9th District at the Broadrock Library on February 21st from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And as always, you can reach my office at nicole.jones at rva.gov or at TAOS at rva.gov and phone 804-646-2779. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President. So wanted to begin by saying we're very excited in the North Side about the temperatures tomorrow and hope to see the end of the ice. And as such, we're excited. We want to recognize folks in the North Side who helped folks in the North Side out went above and beyond during the January storm or in that time frame. We've heard lots of stories about neighbors and friends helping each other out over the past couple icy weeks. So please email us and let us know, names and contact information. We're putting that information in our newsletter. We've heard about lots of folks. Our next district meeting will be on February 25th at 6 p.m. This is a little bit later than we sometimes do it. We are confirming details on the location, so stay tuned. Want to thank Kevin Vonk and Miriam Pitts for joining us at our last district meeting to talk through the second round of maps. The deadline to comment on that second round of code refresh maps has been extended to March 1st. And we are very busy in the district. Lots of Civic Association meetings this month. Tomorrow at 6:30, there is the Battery Park Civic Association meeting at the Stonehouse Battery Park Community Center. The Bellevue Civic Association meeting is Tuesday, February 17th at 6:30 at the Battery Park Church. And finally, the North Barton Heights Civic Association meeting is February 28th at 12:15 at the North Side Library. Let's see, please email our office at kenya.gibson@rva.gov and sarandon.elliott@rva.gov with your nominations or questions or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Breton.
First, I'd like to congratulate and thank my liaison, Whitney Brown, who has started today in a new role as a policy analyst here with City Council on the Education and Human Services Committee. So I am sad to see her go from my team, but I am proud and grateful that she is still staying close. And as you all work with her more, you will all be just as grateful that she is. And so I wanted to thank her for just the way that she has managed my office. I've relied on her to navigate department heads, processes, meeting schedules, and residents as well have also really relied on her and benefited from her deep knowledge of city services, her ability to escalate and advocate, and to handle difficult situations with diplomacy and grace. Frustration with city services can often, cause tensions to run high with our residents, and she is always able to bring a constructive, empathetic, and steady presence that our residents have really appreciated, and so have I. So, just want to thank her again, say the functioning of my office has been thanks to her level-headed leadership, and she's really done it all, and so I want to thank her again and congratulate her, and congratulate all of you all that you get to work with her more now in the EHS committee. I also will be having my town hall. It will be 2 Wednesdays from now on Wednesday 25th at 6 p.m. at the VMFA. Special guest appearance will be Whitney Brown coming back for one last victory lap just to see people one last time. We will also have Parks and Rec there to discuss their Parks Master Plan. And if anyone is wondering why their trash still has not been picked up, there are some homes that have not been picked up yet. That is due to all the dangerous ice conditions. I want people to know that DPW is working 6 days a week to get caught up. So be patient. They will be coming when it is safe and with the thawing ice that will be soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Breton. Vice President Jordan.
Hi, everyone. Just wanted to lift up that we're having our February district meeting on the 18th. That's on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Additional details will be posted in our newsletter. We're just finalizing the location. It'll either be at Midtown Green or online. Also want to remind folks that code refresh deadline has been extended to March 1st. Really appreciate administration continuing to work with our communities to get their feedback, incorporate it into new maps, and react when we have situations like ice storms where people want a little bit more time. Super exciting. I know everyone else has been talking about it, but Black History Month is here, and the Black History Museum in my district has fantastic programming. You can go to their website, blackhistorymuseum.org, check them out on social media. Had a delightful time just recently getting to see Governor Wilder's art. For those of you who don't know, he's a very accomplished artist, and they have an exhibit of his on the first floor. And then upstairs, a new exhibit just opened honoring Arthur Ashe, and it is terrific. So I really highly encourage people to go. There's always good things happening in the Black History Museum, and you can find information about other events around the city. Public Utilities and Services Commission, they're looking for new members. You can go to the city's website and look at city boards and commissions to find out information there. And if you have any issues, I know there's, lingering ice absolutely in our district. Phone number for my office is 804-646-6532. You can reach out to me via email as well if you want to send photos or documents such like that. Catherine.Jordan, it's spelled JORDAN @rva.com. Or reach out to my liaisons, Sven.Phillipson @rva.gov. And again, just what an exciting council meeting to have Governor Wilder here. So thank you so much to Councilmember Tramble for organizing that. And we don't get to say thank you enough to people when they're here with us. So wow, that was really special and important. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Jordan. Just a couple of updates. The first meeting I'd like to share and certainly invite participation is the Riverfront Orleans BRT Station Streetscape Meeting. The meeting will be held tomorrow, Tuesday, February 10th, from 5 to 7 p.m. at Main Street Station, 1500 East Main Street. The next meeting I'd like to share, and this is an exciting one for my district, we'll be holding our 12th annual 7th District for the Love of Our Seniors Valentine's Day celebration and resource fair on Valentine's Day, Saturday, at the Main Street Station. And there will be community service providers, special guests, health screenings, flu shots and vaccinations, door prizes, as well as lunch and entertainment. That will be from 11 to 3. Then our next district meeting will be held on Thursday, February 26th at 6 p.m. The meeting will be held at the Kitchens at Reynolds, located at 2500 9 Mile Road. That meeting will focus on code refresh and where we are in an opportunity for the community to continue to be able to speak to at least the last iterations. And as been indicated, there has been an extension to March 1st there. For additional information, feel free to contact my liaison, Sam Patterson, at 804-241-7544, or you can contact me at 804-543-7837. With that, members, the agenda for the formal meeting of the Richmond City Council is concluded, and this meeting now stands adjourned. Thank you.